Everyone here has the sense that right now is one of those moments when we are influencing the future. Steve Jobs. Welcome to EOS Weekly. On February 26th, the LiquidApps team launched the DAPP Network. This included the beginning of the DAPP token sale, as well as the first official product of the DAPP Network, VRAM. VRAM is a crucial enhancement to the EOS ecosystem, being that RAM costs, while cheap compared to other blockchains, have been a barrier to entry for many application builders wanting to get started with EOS. VRAM is breaking down this barrier, making it affordable to build on the EOS blockchain. But it's important to not let this one product overshadow the wider possibilities of the LiquidApps DAPP network. Because while VRAM is in and of itself an exciting development and crucial to mass adoption, VRAM only represents an initial hint as to the wider possibilities of what's about to come from this new technology. In this episode, we're going to explore the many possibilities as to what may develop in this new LiquidApps layer. What types of services will it make sense for the DSPs to offer? The view you are seeing here is in no way meant to be comprehensive. And to be clear, this is not the current reality of the DSPs. This is just a prediction, a vision, based on what we know so far, and based on what's possible with this new technology. Let's read through these quickly, and then we'll go through some scenarios in more depth to show why these would make sense as DSPs. So, for starters, we have the base LiquidApps products, VRAM, vCPU, and vAccounts. Then, going beyond the products being offered specifically by LiquidApps, we have full history, file storage, audio-video, location, identity, oracles, email SMS, token conversion, prediction markets, reputation, artificial intelligence, content curation, logistics, arbitration, fiat on-ramps, front-end mobile and front-end web, and airdrops. Let's zoom in on some of these now to show you why and how all of these services could benefit from utilizing the DAPP network. So, to start with, let's look at this location one here. Some of you may have heard of Platin, a proof of location protocol that allows anyone to geolocate a digital asset anywhere on the map in a trustless, decentralized way. This is a DAPP that is being built on EOS. And if you think about this Platin DAPP, a good portion of the usage of this app won't come directly through the Platin user interface. Most of the traffic for this type of app will come from other apps programmatically accessing Platin through its API. Take a popular game like Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go places digital assets in physical locations out in the real world. Future versions of these types of games, or logistics companies such as FedEx, DHL, or UPS, could benefit from utilizing the Platin service. And games and logistics companies are just the beginning. Any app that doesn't want to put their trust in a third party for geolocation will want to consume a decentralized service like the one being offered by Platin. But the question is, how do we handle the economics of something like this? Some apps, like FedEx and Pokemon Go, might pound the heck out of the Platin service, with millions of requests per day, while others will be much less reliant on Platin, only hitting the service here and there occasionally. What's the best way to compensate those engineers who are providing and maintaining the servers that are hosting Platin, and the software developers who are providing and maintaining the Platin code? In other words, what's the best way for Platin to both monetize their service while at the same time throttling API usage in a fair way? Well, one option for the Platin team would be to offer access to their API service through a DSP. Platin could utilize the LiquidApps DAPP network by opening up their API through a DSP and offering different service packages based on the level of access that a given app needs. If you're that Pokemon Go game that's going to be pounding Platin with millions of daily requests, you're going to have to go with the gold package and stake more DAPP tokens to the Platin DSP. Whereas the lighter usage app can use the smaller package here, maybe even the free tier. If Platin turns out to be a really popular service, they'll end up with a lot of tokens staked to their DSP, and they'll get paid similar to how elected BPs get paid on the EOS network. Based on the number of DAPP tokens staked to each DSP, the proportional amount of annual inflation gets distributed to each DSP. Now, let's say Platin, in order to offer their geolocation service, needs to query the full history of the EOS blockchain. Just like the Platin service, Some dApps, by their very nature, need regular access to full history, while others need it seldom, if ever. Let's say hypothetically EOS Rio is the one offering this full history node. They'd be in a good position to do so with their recent Hyperion solution for full history, which we'll cover in detail in a future episode. In order to address the varying degrees of full history usage among the dApps, EOS Rio would set up some service packages for their full history consumers. This is just like what Platin did, except this time, Platin would be on the consumer side of things. So they will have to choose the appropriate package based on their full history usage, and Platin will need to purchase and stake their own dApp tokens to the EOS Rio DSP. Besides full history, Platin might also want to take advantage of VRAM being offered by EOS Nation over here, so that Platin can utilize their on-chain RAM in a more optimal way. Now, it's highly likely that instead of each of these organizations launching their own DSP for each individual product or service, that partnerships will form among dApps and BPs, like Platin, EOS Rio, and EOS Nation. And these three entities would aggregate their services together into a single DSP. Having these multi-service DSPs will be alluring to dApp builders because it keeps things simple, enabling them to stake to a single DSP for all their various needs. Let's look at some more use cases now for DSP services. But as we go through these, please keep in mind that we will likely see these services aggregating together into these multi-service DSPs, alongside the small niche DSPs. So let's take a look at this prediction market one here. Back in December, Everipedia announced that they were building a prediction market like an augur that would enable people to wage against the outcome of events and see the odds of different events happening. On April 1st, we learned the name of this prediction market, PredIQt with a Q. This is another service that would benefit from not just having a UI, but also from having an API that would give other apps programmatic access to the Everipedia prediction market. EOS Bet, for example, might want to offer prediction market gambling right alongside their other games. So if Everipedia provided access to their prediction market API as a DSP, EOS Bet could stake dApp tokens to the Everipedia DSP so as to integrate with it and consume their services. Everipedia, in turn, is going to need to consume some DSP services of their own, such as location, full history, and VRAM, in order to run their prediction market on-chain. So Everipedia purchases their own dApp tokens and stakes them to our multi-service DSP over here. And they're also going to need access to some different Oracle services in order to determine the true outcome of the events in their prediction market. Again, like our previous example, this is fertile ground for partnerships to form. Combining prediction markets together with oracles and VRAM could be a powerful combination to bundle into a single DSP package. Now, think about current services such as Squarespace and Wix, products that make it super easy to host websites. Imagine a DSP launching that enabled apps to upload the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files for the front ends of their applications. This DSP could store your front-end files in a decentralized way using IPFS and serve them up upon request. Going back to the user interfaces of Platin and Everipedia, the dApps could host the front-end part of their apps in this DSP up here, pointing those front-end UIs at the respective DSPs where their back-end business logic resides. What we're beginning to see now is a potential future where applications are absorbed into a layered, complementary, interconnected set of DSPs, where no part of the app needs to necessarily reside outside the DSPs. In this way, the entirety of the application becomes decentralized, assuming each DSP is operating on-chain or using a decentralized protocol, such as IPFS for their various services. Let's pause on this example here now and take a closer look. AI and vAccounts. Why might these two go together? Well, Effect.ai incentivizes people to help classify images and perform other tasks in order to teach their deep learning algorithm. Participants can earn EFX tokens for the tasks that they perform. This is the type of service that will have an API as other dApps will want to integrate with it. So again, like any other app that is offering an API, for the purpose of monetization and throttling, it could make sense to offer this API in the form of a DSP. Here's why apps like Effect.ai would benefit from integrating with the LiquidApps vAccounts product. vAccounts was just announced in late March and offers a free way to create virtual accounts for new users. This is perfect for onboarding new users into the EOS ecosystem in a frictionless way, as there is a cost involved with creating an EOS account. vAccounts makes it possible to store and transfer tokens in and out of a virtual space, which behaves just like a real account. If Effect.ai were to offer a DSP that integrated with vAccounts, newcomers to Effect.ai could earn their EFX tokens into their LiquidApps virtual account to start out with. And once they've accumulated enough value in those EFX tokens, they could choose to convert their vAccount into a normal EOS account. Watch for this integration to happen. Here's another combination where the DSPs complement each other quite nicely: identity, fiat on-ramp, and token conversion. Worbly is offering a permissioned chain that requires KYC, know your customer, at the base layer. But why not raise that KYC up into an identity service at the DSP level? This would be similar to what Civic is doing on the Ethereum blockchain. This way, dApps or other DSPs could opt in and consume the identity service as needed. No need to limit yourself to a completely separate chain. Why not instead just plug into the identity DSP here? Once we have an identity service like this, it would be a logical next step to have a DSP that does fiat to crypto conversions. We're currently reliant on entities like Coinbase for this type of on-ramp, meaning that there are a few steps needed to go from fiat to EOS. And it would be nice to get that down to a single step for the sake of onboarding the masses. It would also make sense for someone like Bancor to launch a token conversion service as a DSP, using the Bancor protocol, the relays we described in our last video. Not only would this be nice for the user in our current example with converting fiat to crypto, to give some options as to which crypto they are converting directly into, but if you think about it, a large portion of dApps out there will want to embed their token conversion in their app, so that the user doesn't need to leave the app experience, the game or the virtual reality experience, in order to convert tokens. And finally, let's talk about arbitration. An arbitration forum, a group of professional arbitrators, ideally with an automated element to their service, could offer their services as a DSP, enabling dApps to opt into various levels of their service based on the number of cases a given dApp will be filing. Arbitration DSPs could specialize in various jurisdictions or languages or types of disputes, and it will probably make sense for arbitration DSPs to integrate or form partnerships with identity and reputation services. As the DAPP network matures, it's hard to say whether we'll have a few large DSPs that offer a one-stop shop for all your DAPP needs, or if we'll have a lot of little niche DSPs for each individual service. It likely won't be either extreme, but somewhere in the middle. A lot of DAPP developers out there won't want to deal with the hardware and networking infrastructure themselves when launching their DSP, and will happily partner with BPs who specialize in the hardware side of things. Other app builders, however, might have the infrastructure, capital, and know-how where they'd be willing to launch their own independent DSP. And then there will be BPs who launch their own DSPs without any partnership with dApps. All of these scenarios will be playing out in the months and years ahead as this ecosystem forms. It's still very early in the life of the DAPP network. LiquidApps just launched the network a little more than a month ago on February 26th, but we are already seeing a high caliber set of BPs registered as DSPs. This Dapp Services account here is the LiquidApps account where the main code lives. This is where people register to be DSPs, so you can always see the current list of the DSPs here. It's changing rapidly, so we added a link to this in the show notes below. You can see that EOS Infra, Attic Lab, EOS Sweden, Airdrop Stack, EOS Detroit, EOS New York, EOS Nation, EOS Tribe, and Boyd are the current set of registered DSPs. EOS USA hasn't registered yet, but they have announced plans to launch a DSP as well. These first DSPs are focusing on VRAM as they learn the ropes of the DSP world, and they will likely add support for vAccounts next. The first DSP that was launched for a specific service is Airdrop Stack. It was in fact airdrops that were on Tal's mind when he invented VRAM and ultimately the DAPP network. Michael, the founder of Airdrop Stack, worked closely together with Tal on one of the first real usages of the DAPP network, which was to execute an airdrop using VRAM so as to make the airdrop more affordable. They had some kinks to work through together, but ultimately this was a success, and VRAM proved to make airdrops about 6 times more affordable. If this LiquidApps layer is a success, as it appears it will be, the potential here is massive. This is a new layer that never existed before, and LiquidApps has first mover advantage, similar to how Bitcoin had first mover advantage in the ledger layer below it. Will LiquidApps become the granddaddy of the integrations layer, like Bitcoin is of the ledger layer? This is a definite possibility. The EOS community is lucky that the LiquidApps team has built this here on EOS first. This is a differentiating factor for our blockchain. None of the other smart contract chains out there have anything like this. Now, there's nothing to stop the LiquidApps DAPP network from spreading across to other smart contract platforms such as Tron or Ethereum. This is probably inevitable. It's also probably inevitable that other networks will be created that will compete with the DAPP network in the integrations layer here. Bitcoin was not the last blockchain of the ledger layer, and it would be naive of us to think the DAPP network will be the last of the integrations layer. That's it for this week's episode. Thanks for watching, and we hope you learned something. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to our channel. We'll help you stay current on EOS as this revolution unfolds. Thanks, and we'll see you next week right here on EOS Weekly.